All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope you are excited right now. The entrepreneurial journey has officially begun. I am super excited about it. So, we're going to jump right into things here. We put together a little bit of a presentation, and this is going to be the one time in this program where you have no work to do whatsoever. You're just going to sit back, listen to a little bit of the story that we're going to tell today, and we're going to go through the program a little bit, and then we're going to jump right into things. So sit back, listen up, and get ready to kick things off officially. I'm excited. I'm just smiling thinking about the journey underway now. All right, so in this program, big thing that we're going to be providing is the structure, system, and support to help you build and launch a successful $30,000 summer service business this year. Something that you're working on starting now, starting today. This program is tried and true. It's based on my own experience, and I am very confident that if you go through this program, you will be setting yourself up for success and going to set yourself up for a really fun and awesome summer. All right, but more so than the business, and one thing I really want to emphasize is that this program and this entrepreneurial experience, starting your summer business is more than just the business itself. It's really to set yourself up on the path to becoming a future CEO and leader. Starting this summer business, maybe it's something that you'll discover that you're passionate about, you want to go forward with long term, but the biggest value that you're going to get from this experience is that you're going to lay those bricks. You're going to lay the foundation. This is the starting point. This is where you get your start and set yourself up to be going on that path forward. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to be an entrepreneur for the rest of your life. Maybe that is your plan. I think that's awesome. I love entrepreneurship, but I think more so than that, you're going to really get an understanding of who you are, where your strengths and weaknesses lie, and where we can move forward and create that path. Everyone's got a different path, so this is really the foundational point. This is the starting point. And on top of that, we're really laying the foundation for your future. Right now you're probably early on in your life, maybe have some experience, have had some jobs, done a couple of cool things, maybe participate in some events, things like that. But this is really a foundational point for your future. This is the first time in your life that you're really taking charge and taking control of what you're doing and establishing yourself for the future. Now, this program really is designed to help you gain confidence in yourself and your abilities. I'm going to talk a little bit about my story and my transition throughout my time, starting at 18 years old all the way till now. And I want to talk about how I kind of overcame some of the biggest obstacles that I faced. And the biggest thing is understanding that confidence is not something that everyone is born with. Most people aren't born with it. Confidence can only come when you have that experience and you've proven to yourself that you have the ability to come through on things that you promise, come through on things that you provide, service you provide, value you provide for people and for society at large. So really, we want you to feel confident in yourself after going through this program and after launching and building your summer business. That's a great starting point. I think the best starting point to really gaining confidence. And lastly, we want to give you the ability to crush it in college and university, or college or university. Really, at the end of the day, when you start a summer business while you're in school, it's not something that's going to be 100% of what you do. Just like we have a lot of different things going on, especially when we're young, we go through all kinds of transitions, all kinds of new things. And really what we want to sort of do with this summer business is fit it into that schedule, fit it into all the other things that you're doing. Whether you're in college or university or not right now, we want you to crush it in college and university. We want you to get the most out of the experience so you can graduate a titan. You can graduate ready to take on the world. So that's our goal here. That's what this program's designed. It's a high level overview. So let's get a little bit more specific here. So this training is the real deal. This training is something that I've worked on over several months. I've made a ton of changes along the way, a ton of adjustments. I've really adapted and customized this program around what the current needs of students are and built a lot off the failures and the successes that I had as a student and through my entrepreneurial experience. So this training is the real deal. It's not something that you can find, when you're Googling. We're gonna make use of Google. We're gonna make use of the resources we have available. But this is sort of separate from what you're learning when you can learn online on Google or what you learn in the classroom. This is something that's hand built. It's custom and it's the real deal. It's authentic, it's genuine, it's insight-based, and it's designed to give you those tools, the right tools just to put you on that path to success. All right, so the training is the real deal. So my goal for you today is for you to have everything you need to get your start and start your first summer business and set up for rapid success immediately. This is not something that's going to be a slow-moving process. Although we're going to have a little bit of time that takes to build our business, you're going to experience all kinds of different aspects as we go, and it's not going to be slow-moving at every time. You're jumping into this journey, and this is a journey that's going to change your life fundamentally. You won't be able to go back. Whether it's something that you pursue in the short term, the long term, for your entire life, this journey is going to shift how you see the world, how you see things, and how you see yourself, most importantly. And I want to emphasize that even if you're coming in here with no previous experience in entrepreneurship or skills that will give you an advantage, we're here to, this program is designed truly entry level and truly for everyone. You don't need a business background. You don't need specific skills, specific work experience. Really, the biggest defining factor that's going to make you successful in this program is your determination and your mindset. And we want to work with you in establishing the right mindset, and we want to work with people, and that's sort of why we don't just accept, everyone into this program. We sort of expect that you're coming in with that motivation, with that desire to have a change in your life and have success and be willing to work for it. So that's really what we're all about. We're going to provide the structure and the system and the support to get you there. But at the end of the day, we're going to need you to come through on your end with staying motivated, staying energized, and staying enthusiastic about your business throughout the process. All right, so what I'm going to show you in this program are the exact same strategies that I used to grow my brand when I was in my first year of university from zero, started from scratch in our first year, to a $500,000 value company in just 3 years. So from my first year of university when I was 18 years old till my third year of university, I was able to grow my brand from zero to a $500,000 valuation. And that is the foundational point of what this training's built on. I was able to do a lot in my university experience. I experienced all kinds of successes and failures along the way. And I want to provide you guys with the tools. And for those of you that really want to work for it, I'm confident you can get there. I started with absolutely no skills or relevant experience, and I was able to do this. So I want to show you the path forward to getting there, even if money is not the objective, even if it's more so focused on the learning, which is what we're passionate about. This can kind of give you a guideline in understanding what we're capable of and what you're capable of through this experience if you follow the systems properly. All right, so here's what we're going to cover in the program. In this presentation first, and then we're going to talk about what we're going to cover in the program. So big thing we're going to talk about is why summer businesses, particularly home and appliance service businesses, are a huge trend that you need to catch as a student to make money and learn skills in business. This industry is absolutely exploding, and it's so untapped, and we're going to talk about why that is. Next, we're going to talk about the only 3 things that you need to make $30,000 plus, more than that, in your first summer. So obviously there's a lot to it, but we're going to narrow that down to the 3 most important categories when we're looking at the higher level viewpoint of it. Next, we're going to talk about the type of customer niche that you're going to go after. We're going to brush on that. We're going to save most of the customer discovery, the customer research for the actual program. But we're going to sort of get you thinking in the customer mindset, because building your business around your customer is the most important thing. We're going to talk about how you're going to get your first clients quickly. That's very important. How you price your services, the math of making 30K plus. We want to show you the math. Obviously, that's an arbitrary number. That's, not everyone is going to have the exact, I think everyone in this program is going to have a different revenue figure. But we want to just paint that picture and show you why. And, when I first started, I definitely had that objective in mind where I needed to see a number in front of me. And that's why we put that number there. I think you guys can do a lot better than that. You could have a lower revenue, higher profit, higher revenue, lower profit. There's a lot of factors involved, but 30K is a tangible thing that we want to look at because we definitely want to do significantly better than minimum wage in this summer startup program. Again, you're putting in this work now. The start of the season isn't happening for a little bit from now, so you want to get rewarded when you're actually out there doing your services and growing your business. So we want to set you up to make sure that you're being rewarded for that. And then lastly, we'll do a Q&A. We'll do a Q&A more so in a in a survey type format. I'm going to provide you guys with a survey, and I want to know that the point of that survey is we want to know exactly how we can help you the most. So we know every student has a different background. Every student comes in with different sets of experiences and knowledge. So we do want to put together, or we have put together a Q&A. We do want to understand where you're coming from, where your interests are, how we can help you out the most. Because again, this is a very customized program. We provide the structure, we provide the system, but at the end of the day, the third part of that formula is the support. And we want to make sure that we're giving you the most support. So we have put together that survey. We want you to fill that out right at the beginning so we can understand how we can help you the most. All right, so let me paint this picture for you. Right now, we are experiencing one of the most insanely perfect times in the history of the world. And it doesn't seem that way. It always seems like there's different struggles and obstacles coming up. Pandemic, different scenarios in our own lives, catching up with school. There's all kinds of issues. The world is always a chaotic place. But all that being said, we're going to look at it from a bird's eye view. We're going to talk about why this is such an insanely perfect time, and it genuinely is. Here's why. All right, so the first reason, number one, the job market is changing. 45% of the Canadian workforce, so that's almost half, that's almost 1 in 2 people, does some form of freelance, independent, or contract, or on-demand work. So some sort of self-employment work. And that's just people who are registered. That's just through census data right there. And that's 1 in 2. That's significant. What that indicates is that the job market is changing. People don't line themselves up for a career anymore. People typically now want to bounce between jobs. They want to have different experiences. They want to manage themselves. They want to be entrepreneurial. We're creating a society, and this is happening around the world. We're creating more of a society of people that are doers, people that want to control their own destiny and don't want to be restricted by the current structure. They don't want that 9 to 5 necessarily. They want to be flexible. They want to enjoy their life. They want to be really, they want to be passionate about their work and actually live by it. They don't want to just, go through the torture of being at work for 8 hours a day and then come home, be tired and not want to get the most out of life. People want a different lifestyle, and a lot of people are taking initiative and taking action when it comes to that. So what this means is that full-time jobs and traditional careers are eventually, and we're headed in this direction, but they're going to become a thing of the past. Conventional careers will not be a thing. There will always be jobs. There are always going to be lots of jobs that require the same, systematic work and the same kind of 9 to 5 structure. But in the general sense, the most successful people, the most motivated people will not be doing those types of jobs. It's just not going to be a thing anymore. And what we're going to see is that entrepreneurship is going to become the norm. It's genuinely going to become not necessarily. And this has happened over the last 5 years, over my entrepreneurial journey since I've begun. When I first started, I didn't know a lot of students or a lot of young people who were entrepreneurial or who are starting businesses. Now I know almost, my network is massive with people who've started businesses and have had success with it, maybe not so much success with it. But I know a ton of people that start their own business, run their own side hustle, do things one way or another. And even when you're an entrepreneur, even when we're building our summer service business, you're probably going to be thinking of other ideas, maybe other side hustles, maybe things you want to start in the future. This is just natural now. We have so many opportunities to start new things, and it's become, the barriers of entry have become lower than ever before. All right, so the next thing is that we live in what I term the convenience economy. Now the buying experience has changed. It's genuinely changed even over the last 5, 10, 15 years. It's changed completely, and consumer expectations are completely different. All right, so here's the examples we all know. Uber has replaced taxis. Amazon has replaced stores. Netflix has replaced cable, and iPhone replaces everything. All right, so these are examples that we all know about. But when we're thinking of the grander, bigger picture, what does this mean for all the other areas of our lives? What does this mean for the smaller aspects of the economy or the day-to-day things that have, let's say we are used to now ordering stuff on demand, getting things within a day, getting things the next couple of days, having an easy buying experience. What does this mean for all the other industries that are a little bit slower to adapt to that or don't have the larger scale? So in this program, we're going to narrow that down to a really big industry and a really good industry to get started, which is home and appliances, which I think it's even unfair to call home and appliance services just one industry. It's really built up of many different industries that we're going to talk about. We'll go through some examples. So we want to think about this convenience economy, what we're used to with the higher level things like transportation and retail. How is this going to get to other smaller industries or other micro aspects of our life? And this is already happening. Convenience economy is becoming consumers are demanding that. And I think we all demand that, of course. All right, so who has disposable income to spend? If we look at the average baby boomer in Canada, which is the cohort of people that are in their late 40s right now to their mid 60s. The average baby boomer has a net worth of $1.2 million. They hold the most wealth out of any generation in Canada. So they're the wealthiest people. And if we look about just like the high level of their general demographic, where do they live? They typically live in suburban households. They typically live in the burbs, as we call them, the places, the towns, even like small, big, but they want a house. They live in houses. And what do they value? Well, most broadly, they value time, family, travel. They value enjoyment out of their life. These are the people that have worked for 15, 20, 30 years of their lives. They set themselves up. They're not in that they're not in that uprise or that coming up stage of their life. They're there. They've made it. They have a comfortable job. They have a lot more comfort, and they seek. The one thing they seek is they won't want to do that anymore. They want to have they value their time. They're very busy people, or they're just entering retirement. They value the time. They don't want to do tedious things. They don't want to invest their time into things that they've done over and over again, or things that don't provide value in their lives. They've paid their dues, for lack of a better word. They've paid their debt to society. They've done everything that they need to. They're set up. You know what I mean? So that's the big thing that we want to keep in mind is when we're starting a business, we want to think about who has the income. Where's the disposable income most concentrated in Canada? And, I think that's true in a couple other countries, but we're focused on Canada. More broadly speaking, the baby boomers are the ones who have the most wealth right now. All right. So let's look at the home and appliance service business opportunity. And I'm going to tell you this, it is absolutely massive. And we're looking at it from, even before I get into this, when we're looking at it from a micro perspective, so a smaller perspective, when we're looking at, a student summer business that really the objective is to get, that 30K in revenue, that is an micro portion of this industry, and it's so attainable. It's super attainable. This industry is absolutely massive. So if we're going to look at it right now and we're going to think about it a little bit differently, it's a rapidly growing industry because baby boomers are moving into those retirement stages. They are becoming less even just physically able to do a lot of the things that come with managing their homes. And their homes are their biggest investment, and it's something that requires a lot of management. There's so many different things. It can constantly be, is a constant investment. It's not a one-time investment. You're constantly investing into upkeep, into new projects, into optimizing the home. There's all kinds of things. And the same goes with their car. And millennials, the upper end millennials, the ones with the higher incomes, they live busy lifestyles. They're people, and they're used to outsourcing a lot of areas of their lives. They're used to living a lifestyle where they're almost the managers of their life. So they manage all the different areas, and they want to outsource as much as possible because they don't have the time to focus on the little things. They want to use their time to focus on their family, raising their kids, saving properly. They have a lot more priorities rather than doing some of those more tedious tasks, some of the more inconvenient tasks. So let's look at the specific industries. I put a couple examples here. There's tons to list. I could create a list. I think last time I checked, there was legitimately around 50 home and appliance service business types. And these are like established types. There's definitely more, there's definitely smaller categories, but there's around 50 or so like genuinely established industries within this sector. So if we look at painting businesses, there's 18,511 businesses in Canada. There's 18,000 painting businesses in Canada, and the average revenue is $224,000 a year. That is not a small industry. That is absolutely massive. Every year there's more that enter. Every year there's some that drop. There's mergers, acquisitions, there's all kinds of things. There's so many painting businesses. Landscaping business, 22,000, almost 23,000 businesses with the average annual revenue just under $400,000. That is not a small business. That is a massive, massive opportunity right there. We look at window washing businesses. We don't have exact numbers of number of businesses, but the average annual revenue is 200,000. General home service, there's 62,000 businesses, average 300,000 revenue. The list goes on and on. These are just a few examples. These industries are massive. The home is where people are at most of the time, and it's where people invest their money. And if you look at economic statistics, if you're a little bit of an economics nerd like me and you love looking at the economy is driven by the home. It's driven by home construction, home services, all these types of home-related services, because that's where people spend most of their time in reality, especially during difficult times like a pandemic, different. I can't think of a single time that people don't spend at their home. The home is their biggest, most valuable investment, both emotionally and both physically and functionally in every aspect. The home is where the heart is. All right, so now let's remove ourselves from that and look at where we're at right now. The internet has broken down the walls for starting your own summer business. It has broken down the walls of what traditionally was the case. So if you look at it from the past, picture a world. I can't even picture the world without the internet or without my phone, without my laptop. But let's picture that. Before you'd have to gain experience somehow. You'd have to get out. You'd have to work for a company, or you'd have to work for a student franchise. You have to pay them a lot of fees. They'd set you up with some training, some tools. They would set you up a lead funnel with some customers, and basically do all the work still. But they would at least give you some value in that sense. And so that's why those got big. I mean, if you look at student franchises, those things got massive because the internet didn't exist and students had no other option. It was very difficult to start your own business unless you had prior work experience and you honestly had connections. You had someone who could teach you how to start a business. That would be the only genuine way to start a business. And even then, you had a very difficult road ahead. So the market was much smaller. People were really managing themselves, managing their own homes, managing their own appliances. It was a very unestablished industry. And if we look at it, as long as you have a laptop and a cell phone, as long as you have access to that, you pretty much can do most aspects of starting the business. And, it's a testament, this program being, through software, through technology, we're really going to leverage that technology, and we've built the tools around optimizing the use of technology. And again, like I mentioned, we are going to make use of all the tools that are available online as well. We're putting the whole formula together. We put the whole system together here. And, if you can put everything together using technology, which you can really set up your startup and start attracting customers pretty quickly. You still gonna have to get in the real world. You're still gonna have to get out there, but you can set everything up to really, professionalize yourself pretty early on and establish your business pretty early on. And you don't even need an office, employees, or expensive overhead or anything like that to get started. All right, so all in all, right now is the perfect time to start your own summer business. Now I'm gonna tell you why a little bit here. So I think it's better, and I could drop a ton of reasons on. I could spit a bunch of dot shots on why I started summer business, but I want to share my story a little bit before we get into things. So my name is Matt Mccoy. I'm the chief mentor. I don't give myself a fancy title, but I am the mentor at Start Smart and with the Summer Startup Program. So I was born in Oakville, Ontario, which is in Canada, here in southern in the GTA around Toronto, and really how I got my start. And I'm going to talk about my story a little bit more, but right now, this is where I'm at. I'm 23 years old. I just recently finished school. I'm sort of still in that transitional phase. And in my university experience, I had a little bit of a unique university experience. In my first year of university, I started my business, and what I did was a niche cleaning business. So I wanted to start a summer business. I knew I needed to do something. Cleaning was something that I knew didn't require a lot of skills and experience. And so I had a business partner, and what we came up with was barbecue cleaning services. So this was a niche cleaning, summer business. We realized, hey, everyone has a barbecue, and who would want to clean it? Like, it's an extremely dirty job. Who would even know how? The conventional wisdom around barbecues was that you just get one of those grill brushes, you get a quick swipe, and then you throw the steaks on there, and you're good to go. But what we realized was, you lift up under the grate, you looked up under the hood, under the grills. There was actually, there's rodent nests, rodent droppings, built up grease, causing all kinds of functionality issues. It was unsafe. It was causing massive fires. We actually had a family friend whose entire backyard, like their deck and the side of their house, completely burned down from a grease fire from the barbecue. And so there's all kinds of hazards. It was one of those things that it was all we did was cleaning. I mean, we did a cleaning business, but we established ourselves in this micro tiny industry of barbecue cleaning services. So we started that up in our first year, and throughout university, each year we grew it. So in our second year, we got some mentorship. So in our first summer business, we established it. We went out, we sort of had that hustle approach where we made a ton of mistakes. I'm going to go into the mistakes. I want to tell you guys the mistakes that we made. It was crazy how many mistakes we made. I think that I aged quite a bit just in that first summer, just from all the stress that I had from just doing all the wrong things, basically. But we got off the ground. Our second year, we grew a little bit. We got a small team. We had about 6 team members. And then in our third year business, we actually got an investment deal at a $500,000 valuation. So we exponentially grew quite a bit each summer. In our fourth year, we traveled across Canada. We established our business in different parts of the country. We built some really good relationships. We built a really cool business. It was something that I was never passionate necessarily about cleaning barbecues. It wasn't waking me up, getting me jumping out of bed in the morning thinking, oh, gee, I would love to clean a barbecue today. But no, it was a really awesome experience in terms of having something that's practical, having something that's hands-on, a summer business. It worked well with my university schedule, and yeah, it really exploded. And so yeah, we got on Dragon's Den. That was really awesome. Dragon's Den was a cool experience for us. We actually didn't apply for the show. We never even thought our business. We were a couple students had a summer business. We never thought that was a Dragon's Den business, but they actually heard of us. And this is something I talk about networking a lot. They kind of heard of us through their network. They gave us a call. They invited us to come audition. Did a little audition, and we ended up getting invited to pitch in front of the Dragons. And the rest was history. We got a deal on the show, which was really cool, and it really helped us explode and grow our business across Ontario. And we took it across Canada. Most recently, in my last semester of university, I actually sold my business, and it was at a huge profit before graduating. It was something, it wasn't even in the realm of consideration when I first started that I would sell my business. It was something I never considered in a million years that this was something that was a possibility. Like I genuinely didn't think it was a possibility. And what I learned from that experience is if you set your business up properly and you build your business not from just a service perspective, just being a student who, cuts a couple people's grass, does a couple of odd jobs, makes some money on the side. No, like you establish a business, you establish a brand, you establish the processes and procedures and systems, and you build your assets. You do all those things the right way. You actually can have a sellable asset at the end of the day. If you work hard enough and you do things the right way, you can have something you sell. And I was shocked that I had built something that I could sell. But through that experience, through going from service in our first summer to actually having a business our second summer, and third summer grew, scaled up, fourth summer just exploded. Every year I realized more and more about business and more about the possibilities that come from just starting a summer business. You never know where it can lead. So it's a really cool thing. So after I sold my business, I actually got reached out to again by some of the students at the school, and they invited me to do a TED Talk. So I actually had a TED Talk. My TED Talk was titled "Are Universities Still Relevant?" And so this was actually my way of basically talking about my university experience, how it was very unique, and how entrepreneurship was really the biggest game changer for me. It really shaped my university experience. It opened my mind to new ways of thinking. It opened up a ton of doors for me. I can't even count how many job offers I got, how big my network got without me even going to networking events. I think I might have gone to one networking event, but pretty much everyone at my school knew who I was. At least in the business program. And, I had professors, I'd be in hallways, professors walk up, give me a handshake and introduce themselves. It was crazy what happened with this story. And it literally started with me at 18 years old, not a single bit of experience. And I went out there and I started a summer cleaning business. So yeah, that's put simply, it was a remarkable experience. And at the end of the day, literally anyone can do it. I promise you, anyone can do what I did. And I'm going to show you the tools to do it, because it's not something that I think should be held. I don't think that it should be restricted to anyone. I don't think that I had any skills necessarily that set me apart. I don't think that I even did anything, remotely crazy or I didn't do anything that was really that insane or unimaginable that someone else couldn't do the same thing. So I want you guys to do the same thing. I want you guys to basically look at my accomplishments and say, I'm going to do way better than him. I want that. I want you guys to strive to accomplish bigger and better things. I promise you can. And I'm going to show you how, and I'm going to be here to support you in getting there. If I have students that graduate from this program that are way more impressive than me, I've done my job. That is my objective with this. All right, so let's trace this back though. I know I talk a little bit about this. I go a little bit too far into this because of just how passionate I am about student entrepreneurship. I don't even talk about entrepreneurship as a whole. I think I'm way too young to even be claiming expertise in it, but I am certainly an expert in student entrepreneurship and getting the most out of the university experience. I truly did that, and I want to give you guys the tools to get there. All right, so let's trace this back to, if you can imagine, so I gave you the story of where I was, that's sort of the highlight reel. But I want to walk it back to, looking at myself when I was 18 years old. This is a picture of me when I was, I think, 17 or 18 years old. And I mean, if I'm going to be completely honest with you, and it's not something I'm very good at talking about, and it's something I'm still coming to terms with, but I really, really struggled in high school. It was something I struggled a lot with my mental health. I just, it's extremely difficult for me to talk about. But yeah, just, looking back at myself, I really, I had poor relationships with people. I found that I was, I didn't understand the meaning of friendship. I found that I was kind of, I just think that I really did not have a good grasp of myself. I didn't have a grasp of the world. I overthought everything. I had a ton of anxiety about social media. Didn't have very many followers, or didn't get really any likes on my photos. And I just really, I would just look at everyone else and think everyone looks so happy, and I was never happy. And when it came to myself, I think that I always had a little bit of ambition, a little bit of motivation, or at least a vision of what I saw myself as. Like I knew where I could get to, but I just had no idea the path of getting there. It was lost on me how I was going to accomplish what I wanted to accomplish without really, having any skills. And I never really felt like I was useful. I never really felt like I had a lot of things to offer. And I struggled quite a bit with that. That caused, I would definitely say I went through a little bit of depression. I definitely had some periods of time where I was more depressed than others. And, all this in high school. And, if you're with me right now and you're in high school, or maybe you just graduated high school, you can still remember high school. I mean, the biggest thing I can say is just do not let that weigh you down. Like, don't let that weigh you down or hold you back. For me, it was, yeah, I let it hold me back quite a bit. And I think that I let it weigh me down a little bit more than I would have liked. And what I want to say is, genuinely, you got to just remember that that's high school. I don't think anyone loves high school. There's a couple of kids that love high school, but now looking back, anyone I talk to, even the kids that I thought were cool, thought were happy and popular, who I'm friends with now, like high school doesn't matter at all to them. And high school, even to them, they're like, high school sucked. I love university. I love being an adult. I love controlling my own life. I love doing all those things. So don't overdwell on high school. It's not set up for you to be happy. I think it's set up to put you through the ringer a little bit so that you can test yourself mentally and overcome that. So that's me in high school. I worked a lot. I had a lot of different jobs, but nothing by any means that set me up for this. I was a produce clerk at the grocery store. I worked at the golf course. Had some other just odd jobs, but yeah, I kept myself busy with work, which was always really good. All right, so I went to high school, and then I made that transition to university. And getting to university was my biggest thing. I wanted to get there. I wanted to get away from my high school self and start building myself. So I really was open to looking for opportunities. So after I kind of got out of that high school mindset, and I said to myself, I looked myself in the mirror and said, this high school year's over. That's done. That's in the past. And this is a fresh start. So I wanted to look for opportunities for myself. So first, when I got into university, the first sort of thought I had is, join student clubs. I did a couple of those. I would start off university in finance and economics. So I joined the Economics Society, the Investment Fund. I did a little bit with the general business club at our school. And I really, I started networking, I started socializing a little bit, felt like I was, meeting new people. I didn't really feel like I was gaining too much from them. But I did participate in case competitions, did terrible in all of them, lost big time. So I don't even think I came close to winning in a case competition. And I definitely spend those nights, couple nights in the library, burning the midnight oil. I really want to get on the Dean's Honors List. I was able to do that in my first couple of years when school was really my focus. So that was really awesome. I mean, that was gratifying. But again, it was still, I still did feel a little bit stuck. I still did feel that anxiety. I felt, I'm getting involved. I'm doing some different things, but I didn't feel like I was actually gaining skills. I was actually, I couldn't think of, when I was thinking my first year, I was like, I don't think I'm that different than I was in high school. I don't have a lot of skills. So I was really scared, and I was actually in the co-op program. And so I remember going to the co-op meeting, and they talked to us about the job market and about internships and about the opportunities out there. And they're basically painting the picture that if you don't have real world experience, if you don't have something that you can talk about in an interview and some real actual examples of how you solve problems or how you went about things, then you would have a really difficult time getting a job. And so that was ingrained in my head. And then on top of that, I'd look at LinkedIn, I would see, that thousands of jobs were being outsourced or automated, things were going digital. I was just thinking to myself, holy cow, I am screwed. I'm not set up properly here. So I even looked into student franchises. Those opportunities, again, they convinced me that it was an entrepreneurial opportunity, but I saw right through them. And, if you're in this program, you probably see right through them as well. They're not real entrepreneurship opportunities. They're really just employment disguised as that. Closer to a more of a pyramid setup, where, the top end benefits, they collect their money, and the students do most of the grunt work and the bottom work without the real reward. So I was happy I never pursued one of those and just decided to go and start my own business is the right move. All right, so the decision to start my business actually came in my first year of university. I decided that, I decided, you know what, Matt, you're going to get rich. You're going to start a summer business and you're going to make a ton of money. That was kind of how it started, but I learned pretty quick. I talked to a couple of people and I did the math a little bit. I'm like, okay, it's impossible for me to get rich. This is not going to happen. But what it is going to do is help me build some skills for my resume. And that was extremely important to me. Everyone had talked about the resume, getting skills for your resume. And that was sort of ingrained in my head, and especially with my parents, they always pressured me to gain skills for my resume. So I really, I saw an entrepreneurship opportunity as an opportunity to gain some real world skills in all the different areas of business. So in sales, marketing, operations, finance, accounting, so many different areas. So that was a big calling for me. That was a big attractive element of starting a business for me. And obviously I was done with making minimum wage. I was like, you know what, I am confident that I can work hard and make at least more than minimum wage. I'm not going to get rich, but I'm not going to make 12, 13, 14, 15. At the time, actually, minimum wage for us was $11 an hour, and it went up to 15 where we were. But yeah, I wanted to make, I want to make 20, 25, $30. I wanted to make money. I want to make real money. I didn't want to be a poor student in university. And I was tired of that. So that's kind of what compelled me. For me though, I wasn't super into taking a big risk. I still am not. I'm still not I don't like to take big risks. I'd say I'm spontaneous. I like to try new things, but I don't like to take big risks. So I didn't want to take a big risk. I want to do something I could earn income immediately. I want to get off the ground. I want something that my hard work could pay off in the short term. I didn't have to, do some fancy product or do an elaborate service or run a bunch of ads, different things like that. I wanted something that I could get out and just prove myself and have little risk with it. And the best part about a summer business is that, and this isn't going to happen to you guys. You guys are not going to fail with your summer business. But the best part of it is that if you do fail, you can easily get a summer job outside of that, like a similar job as you would have gotten anyway. If you fail with your landscaping business, well, guess what? You can just go work for a landscaping business pretty easily. They're always looking to hire people at the start of the season. So it's not a big risk there. And yeah, everyone told me I needed real world experience. So it's the only way I could get it. So yeah, that was sort of why I wanted to start a business. And this is where I, looking back, I did so many of the wrong things. We had no idea what we were doing when we first started. And so we started in December, January, that kind of time frame. And, there were so many times where we had trouble staying focused and dedicated. There would be a full weeks where we did nothing for our business, and all of a sudden it'd be like, we are launching this thing and we are going to not have a summer job unless we do some work. So it was just constant mental battle, trying to stay focused, trying to hold, the other person accountable. When you have a business partner, it's a little bit difficult to hold each other accountable. So, doing it alone, I think is ultimately a better bet when you're starting your summer business. Of course, when you have the structure and you have some support. But yeah, no, we had trouble staying focused. We didn't know where to spend our money to get the business off the ground. We poured all kinds of money into different things that just didn't make sense. We were even thinking of doing an event when we didn't even have a service yet. It was just, we had all kinds of silly things there. And, more so than our money, our time, like our time was just focused on all the wrong things. We just didn't know what we needed to do to get our business off the ground. And yeah, we no experience with building a brand or marketing strategy to attract customers. Didn't even think about how we were going to do that. So it was very difficult. We didn't know how to design a logo, come up with a business name, do all those things, building a website, all these sorts of things that I've learned now and kind of conquered now. I didn't really have those at the time. We even built a 15-page business plan, which was absolutely ridiculous to do. I mean, when you're a startup, you don't build a big business plan. You got to be focused on the action. When we get into our program, the program is going to be designed in a way that we call business planning. We don't do a business plan. We call business planning. We ask those questions and those ways to get you thinking. Business plan is not designed to be a fancy document when you're a startup. You need to just think about all the things that are going to happen with your business and then be set from there. So yeah, that was silly. That took a lot of time, not necessary at all. We never looked at it after we built it. And yeah, we didn't know how much to charge for our service. We didn't know a pricing strategy. We worked ourselves to ground 1 month in. And I think, if I'm going to narrow it down to two things that we fundamentally did wrong, the number one thing was that we didn't accept mentorship or advice. We were just like, this is our business. This is and I was saying, this is my business. I want to build this myself. I don't want to accept mentorship. I don't want to accept anything because, no one knows what I'm going through. I'm only me. Only I'm going through this. Only I know what to do. So that was a big thing. We didn't accept that, and we paid the price for that big time. We ended up realizing that all the advice we did get and we didn't take ended up being right, ended up being stuff we should follow. So we didn't accept mentorship and advice. And the other side of it was we didn't stay focused. We didn't. For me, when I first started barbecue cleaning, I never could kick out of my head that I don't want to clean barbecues. I don't want to be a barbecue cleaner. I want to build my empire. I want to build, and so we very quickly were just like, we want to build a home service empire. We want to have multiple services and multiple options. So 1 month in, we were so burnt out. We focused so much barbecue cleaning, and then we tried to transition. We were like, this is a good opportunity to transition to a different service. We came up with the idea of garage cleaning services. And we spent a week doing that. And what that did was that took us completely off focus of our main operation. So everything stopped for our main operation. And all of a sudden we had lost all this momentum. It was so difficult to get back into it, created all kinds of problems for ourselves. And we just tried to pursue all these different opportunities without staying focused on one. So it was a really big mistake and really big learning experience. We realized you got to be the king or the queen of what you're doing. You got to own what you're doing and stay focused on that. So we have, there's so many things, but I mean, if narrowing it down to two mistakes I made: not accepting mentorship and support, and not staying focused on one specific thing, mastering my trade, becoming the best at what I do first before we go into other things. All right, so the biggest game changer, again, is when I decided to seek mentorship. This was a huge thing. So I actually, in our second year of university, we applied to some programs, and we actually ended up getting a mentorship. And for me, that mentor I still talk to today. He's still a really good friend of mine. He's in his 50s. We still talk, we still connect really on a personal level. But the biggest thing that did was provide me that structure of having someone that has my back no matter what. He wasn't necessarily an expert in what I was doing, didn't exactly know all the things that I was working on, but he always had my back. He was always someone who completely backed who I was and what I was doing. He supported me. He genuinely respected me. And that was just a huge sort of thing. He didn't really provide a lot of the structure side, a lot of the systems and things like that we provide here. But I thought that he did a really good job with just like keeping me on track. I never wanted to have a meeting with him where I didn't have something to talk about. So I was always making sure I was doing cool things, getting involved and growing our business and actually trying new things, because I didn't want him to think, I was slowing down or not doing what I was capable of. So yeah, no, I didn't want to let him down, and that sort of fueled me. And so yeah, it changed a lot. And we also went through a startup incubator, and so we had a 16-week program, and that's sort of the basis point of what inspired me to start this program, is because that actually provides with a lot of the structure side of it, the actual content in building our business and setting it up. So we went from service, a couple of guys who did a service, to actually establishing the frameworks for our business. So what we're going to do here with this program is we're going to establish the business right away. We're going to establish our companies right off the bat, so we have a real asset that we're working with right off the get-go, and we're hitting the ground running, doing all the right things. All right, so this, again, this is just a highlight reel. We went from 30K revenue year one to 100K to above a 500K value business in year three. So again, this is just a highlight reel. And I don't want this to sound like me bragging about this. It's not the objective. It's just to show you what's possible. And this, again, I'm not unique. I'm not someone who possesses a certain trait or skill set or anything like that made me just exceptional. I was not gifted growing up. No surprise there. But this is what I was able to do in my first 3 years, and only went up from there. All right, and then all the other things that came up. This is my TED Talk at Dragon's Den. We got featured in all kinds of news networks. We're on different podcasts. That's a picture of my team. This beauty down here is me smiling after getting the deal. We got published in our university. We did all kinds of things. So again, this is just a highlight reel. This is just to show you what's possible and what we were able to achieve in our time there. So it was really awesome. Again, it's not me trying to brag. It's just me trying to show you what's possible, because I want you guys to surpass me. I want you guys to do better than what I did in university. All right, so now I want to step back and leave the court to you a little bit, leave the floor to you a little bit. I want you to imagine yourself 3 years from now. So think about yourself now, and this is just a thought exercise. This is just something to think about in yourself. You've heard a lot of my story, and I want you to think about yourself now and truly evaluate who you are as a person. What are your interests? What are your experiences? What are your goals? What are your dreams? What do you think about? What gets you up in the morning? What do you think about at night before you go to bed? What are your routines? What are your habits? Just analyze yourself right now, and then imagine yourself 3 years from now. Who do you picture there? Who do you picture that person being? It might be someone that's already a CEO, already building their business, successful entrepreneur, getting on Dragon's Den, doing things like that. Like, imagine yourself 3 years from now and what that looks like, and try to think practically speaking. You're not going to be a new person. You're still going to be you. You're still going to be you, but you're going to be a much better version of you, a much more optimized version of you. So what is a more optimized version of you look like? I want you to think about that. I can give you a couple seconds here, and I want you to think I talked about a lot about myself. And I want you to think about yourself right now. And I'm hoping that throughout this, you've been thinking about yourself as well. You're in this for your own personal development, your own, obviously we all have our own selfish reasons. So I want you to think, where you're at now, and truly be honest with yourself. If you're probably not perfect right now. If you are, congratulations. It's a very rare thing to be, perfect at any given time. But if you're happy with where you're at now, then we're going to make you hopefully a little bit more happy, but a little bit more versatile, more well-versed. But if I think more likely than not, you're probably sitting at a point right now where you want to get better, you want to do some different things, and you want to grow. So think about yourself in 3 years, and just, step back and think what that looks like. All right. So why a summer business? Again, we talk about, first of all, we talked about the actual home service industry, the makeup of that. We talked about the convenience economy. We talked about how different people or how Canadians as a whole are changing fundamentally in terms of the workforce, in terms of how we all see work and how we all see life. So a summer business, again, it gives you a great foundational point to getting started. It gives you that really good basis point, because it's something you can get off the ground and get your first clients right away. Not 2 weeks in, 3 weeks in, a month in. You're getting them on day one. And so that's the best part about summer business. You don't need skills. You don't need experience. There's not a lot of barriers to entry. As long as you have the system, the formula, everything set up properly, there's no reason why you can't excel and succeed with your summer business. All right. So I want to talk about some misconceptions about what people have about entrepreneurship. And this is really important to me, because I think that a lot of people are kind of diverting their attention to the wrong areas when they're thinking about entrepreneurship. So they're sinking their minds and their energy and their time into just the wrong areas of focus. So number one thing is, the number one misperception or misconception is that you need to be passionate about the product or service you offer. This is fundamentally wrong. Almost never is someone passionate about the actual product or service that they offer. What you're passionate about is the process and the impact that you're having. So you're your product or service is just a vehicle. It's just a means to an end. It's something that you have to offer to add value to someone's life. But really what you're going to be passionate about is, first of all, what you're learning, your personal growth, and second of all, what you're able to do for others, how you're able to help others, how you're able to lift people up. And you'll get in this mindset pretty quickly. It's actually the most rewarding thing. Making some money is great. Money, again, is also just a means to an end. But what the big thing is that you're going to become more passionate about the process, the experience, and the impact that you're having. You do not need to be passionate about the product you offer, and don't think about products that you're just specifically passionate about, because that's going to be very difficult to get off the ground and get you started. A lot of passion products are more so lifestyle products, and there's a lot of them out there. It's very difficult to compete. It's very difficult to set yourself up so you can get off the ground and learn right away. All right, so you don't need to be passionate about the product or service you offer. When you're choosing your service, we're going to go through that in our, at the early stages of this process. You don't need something that you wake up and, I didn't jump out of bed and think I'm going to clean barbecues today. It was never something I was passionate about, but I became deeply passionate about the experience and specifically student entrepreneurship and the power that has to have an impact basically on everyone's lives. Next thing is, you don't need to have a big idea. I think a lot of people, pretty much everyone I've ever talked to actually, quite frankly, says, I'm interested in entrepreneurship, I'm interested in doing that, but I don't have that light bulb. The light bulb hasn't gone off yet. I don't have that big idea yet. And the reality of the fact is the big ideas come when you're already gotten started. You're already out there in the real world. You're already going. You're already moving. You're already off the ground and running. All right. So the big ideas are not something, and it's nearly impossible to have a big idea before you get started, because you don't understand how business works, how the different mechanisms come together, where the creativity is needed, where the actual problems lie. You really get really good at identifying problems, identifying opportunities when you're already started, because you're focused on maybe your one service, maybe it's a window washing business, but that just the applications of that thought process, you're not thinking about cleaning windows while you're cleaning windows. You're thinking about all the other opportunities that are going to come up, and you're going to think about all the other problems that exist. It maybe starts within home services. You're like, oh, I notice, everyone has. I go to a lot of houses, and they all have, this issue. They all have a lot of bugs when they live close to water. So how can we get rid of that? Is there pest control? Is there something like that we can do? You're going to notice those problems, but then after that, you're going to think, I'm going to think about my day-to-day life and what kind of problems I go through, what kind of problems my parents go through, what kind of problems I see, professors and other people go through, and you'll come up with a lot of ideas that stem from that first base level idea of, getting started and getting off the ground. So you don't need a big idea to get started. In fact, this program is designed, quite frankly, for the opposite. We want you to get off the ground as soon as possible, so then the big ideas can come later on. And lastly, when I hear people say you can always start later or after you get work experience, this is the biggest frustrating thing that I hear. I hate hearing this, because the best, being a student, you're given a gift of being in university, having that chance to try new things and having people support you doing it. People want to support students. People want to lift you up, especially when you're early on, in high school and your first, second year of university, even later on in university. People want to support you because they know that you're working on yourself. They know that you as a student, you don't have to start a business. You can go work a classic summer job. You can do the classic things. But if you're doing something differently, people want to support you. They want to lift you up. So starting later is actually the worst thing you can do, because you have real life obligations and things that call you. And so when you have those things, those are all going to get in the way of you trying new things, tapping into that creativity, and ultimately getting the most out of the experience. As a student, you have 4 months of full-time summer to run your business. Then you have the whole year, fall and the winter, to build your business. Think about ideas. Get exploring and get out in the real world and try new things. So don't wait. And you guys are already in this program. You guys know not to wait. You guys this message has already got to you one way or another, but I hate hearing this. And these are the 3 biggest misconceptions about entrepreneurship. So when you guys are talking to people about entrepreneurship, I challenge you to think about, bringing up these points when people are asking you why you want to be an entrepreneur. You're talking about, these are the things that I've sort of learned as I've already gotten started. I've realized that, I'm already getting lots of ideas. I'm already becoming passionate about the impact I'm having. And I'm glad I got started now and not later. All right, so now we're going to think about the customer, because when you're thinking about your business and starting your business, you got to think about the customer. We're obviously going to get into this throughout the program, but it's important that we get in this mindset now. So imagine yourself right now, you're in your 50s. You had a successful career, you raised a family, or maybe you're still raising a family, you have some kids that are maybe in college, university, maybe graduated, work, live at home still. But imagine you're in your 50s. and you worked your ass off in all areas of your life to set yourself up. You've literally spent your life building your version of your empire. You've set yourself up, you've done all the work, and you're just kind of, you're pretty much an expert at what you do now. You're not looking for change. You're not looking for the new, because you've already done everything you need to do to set yourself up. Would you really want at that point to cut your own grass, to wash your own windows, to paint your own house, to clean your own car, to open your own pool? Would you really want to do that? Would you really want to go through the hassle of that after you've done that for maybe 15, 20 years? You've gone through every obstacle in life. You've gone through a bunch. You have life experience. Would you really want to cut your own grass? Ask yourself that. Put yourself in their shoes and ask yourself, would you want to do that? This is where the opportunity lies. The opportunity lies as students, as young people with no experience. The opportunity lies to come in and add value to people's lives. So I want to get you in that value mindset. So thinking just as a base level, would you really want to do all these tedious, laborsome tasks, or these tedious, annoying tasks that require a little bit of expertise, require you to go out and go shopping for different products and different things, figuring out the process? No, it's something that almost no one would want to do at that stage in their life. All right, so really, being an entrepreneur comes down to doing things that others aren't willing to do. Being an entrepreneur is not about being glamorous, about showing off, about building. You build your personal brand as part of entrepreneurship, but that's not what it's all about. It's about being willing to do the things that others aren't willing to do. That's what entrepreneurship's all about, and that's how you succeed in entrepreneurship. You go into finding opportunities and doing things that others are not willing to do. You're already on that path right now. You're already hopefully in that mindset. You're already in this program that is, you're taking a bet on yourself right now, really. And, you're already doing something that others aren't willing to do. A lot of people aren't willing to invest in themselves. You've already done that. So being an entrepreneur is fundamentally about finding things that you can do that others just aren't willing to do, or just doing them differently, doing them better, going the extra mile. It doesn't mean that you're doing something completely different, but you're doing, you're finding you're picking your lane, you're finding your lane, and you're doing it better than anyone else. So that's what entrepreneurship is all about. All right, so why summer business? Well, it's little to no risk. The concept's been proven. All right, there's little startup investment required if it's done so strategically. You invest in this program. You invest in just the smallest level things that we're going to talk about. I'm going to talk about specifically what not to invest in. And there's little to no barriers of entry to getting in your way from getting started. There's almost no regulations as long as you pick the right service, and you can start going to consumers, making money right away. All right. So let's talk about a quick story here, and I promise you I'm not going to talk about myself all program long. I'm getting it out now because I want you guys to learn from my experience. So as I've said a couple of times in this webinar or in this introduction here, is I was not passionate about cleaning barbecues. In fact, working with my hands was something I never wanted to do. And I always wanted to be, if I was going to be an entrepreneur, I want to be a tech entrepreneur. I want to be the next Steve Jobs or the next Elon Musk. I didn't want to be a barbecue cleaner. That's not what I wanted to do. But as I was kind of alluding to, is once you get off the ground, that's when the bigger ideas start. So we actually found innovation where we least expected it. We started a cleaning business, a summer cleaning business, and we actually started to learn about the industry. We started to see some big challenges with the industry. And so for me, I'd always wanted to build an app or an e-commerce store, something scalable. And so we came up with this idea to start the Uber of contractors. So we wanted to essentially build an app that was a two-sided platform, so different businesses within our industry, within not just barbecues, but within other appliance service businesses, we want to create this app where everyone could get basically on-demand services. So a customer could go on the app, they could book a contractor to come, and they have a list of contractors to choose. Contractors would have to accept the job, just like an Uber accepts the ride, and they would go to their house. We came up with this idea, and so that was something, and it's not a crazy big leap, it's not a crazy innovative idea, but we want to build an app, and we actually realized, we pivoted from that idea because we realized pretty quickly that, first of all, those already existed. There's a couple out there that already existed, and second of all, we weren't addressing a need in the industry. We were addressing a problem that we were addressing an opportunity we saw we had, but we realized that getting business wasn't a big goal for contractors. I mean, they didn't need any more business they already had. Growth, scale, those kind of things, it wasn't a need for them. They also didn't want to use technology, didn't want to have an external system. They didn't want to be forced to do jobs in a certain way at a certain price point. That just wasn't a win. So we actually we actually got accepted to a startup incubator, Communitech, which is, I think it's North America, if not Canada's largest technology incubator. And we built an app for the back end of our business. So we actually were able to automate a lot of the different processes and procedures that were involved in our business from a back end perspective. And we built this whole app. We had a team of offshore developers that we worked with. I think I stayed up till 1 or 2 a.m. every single night for, I think, 2 months straight. And I worked with them. It was not a fun experience, but we went through the app building process. So I was actually able to find innovation. We were able to change our industry a little bit. We did a slightly innovative service, but not crazy innovative service. But we were able to find those innovations where we least expected it. So I guess the point of me telling you this is that you will find opportunities to be innovative and to think differently when you actually get started with your summer business. Like, your summer business doesn't have to be constricted to just the service you offer. You can actually think of other ideas where you can innovate the industry, you can innovate different industries. So it actually can be a great vehicle for setting yourself up for innovation. That's why I'm telling you this, because you might be an ambitious, motivated entrepreneur. You might have a lot of ideas, or maybe you don't have any ideas. But either way, this business, getting this off the ground is going to be a great foundational point for you to get started, and use your creative thinking after you already get going, all right? So the 3 things that you need to have for a successful summer startup, and this is narrowing it down. I mean, you might have seen my more detailed webinar. I put out some content where we talk about things a little bit more, and this program a lot more. But when it comes down to 3 things that we want you to start thinking about going into this program, so it's really about establishing that mindset. It's a big 3 things you want to think about. Number 1, you want to think about the type of customer that you're going for and the problem that you're solving. So you don't want to try to, if you're looking at the potential market for your business, you don't want to go for everyone. You're not setting up this massive scaled business. You want to find the specific type of customer that you're looking for. We're going to talk about developing that customer persona, understanding customers' needs, understanding them. And you want to figure out the problem you're solving. You want to figure out that key problem that they have, the key need that they have, and you want to break that up. You want to analyze that problem and really understand that deeply, and make sure you have the right problem that you're solving. It's not just a problem you think, but it's a problem you actually have. Next, you want to know how to reach those customers with a solution. So you got to know how to where the customer is located. You got to know how to pitch them. Create an elevator pitch, do all those sorts of things. Have a nice process, have a nice system, and know how to reach them and present that solution effectively. So communicate that solution effectively. And lastly, the system. You have a system to run your business, and that system needs to be built in a specific way that you're optimizing your operations, you're optimizing your customer experience, you're optimizing all different areas of your business, so you're just spending time on the most important things. All right, so that's the 3 big things to keep in mind. When we're going through this program, there's gonna be a lot of intricate details that we're gonna set up. We're gonna break it up so you have those fine details, but the 3 most important things are your type customer problem, knowing how to reach those customers, and having a system in place to run your business. All right, so the big money and learning is in being the best at what you do. This is a fundamental concept that we want to get across, because I made a ton of mistakes. I tried to do too much. I tried to be an expert in all different areas, or I tried to know how to do it. I try to be the jack of all trades. I think a lot of us, we see the ideal person as someone who can manage a bunch of different things, somehow pulls off this crazy life where they're just so good at everything. And in reality, to get there, you have to learn how to be really good at one thing first. And that was something that was a challenge for me, because I was like, I'm stuck cleaning barbecues every day. I don't like this, or I'm dealing with all kinds of headaches related to cleaning barbecues. But the big money and the big learning is in actually being the best at what you do, being the king of your hill or the queen of your hill. All right, so when you're the king of your hill, or when you're the queen of the hill, number 1, you'll start seeing the biggest returns. When you're an expert at what you do, you'll actually realize how to tap into that niche, tap into that what you offer, and you'll find all kinds of opportunities within that. So, for example, we started cleaning barbecues. Then we realized, hey, we can offer repairs, we offer tune-ups, we can offer products. We built a product store of over 1,500 different products. So we had all kinds of things, but we became experts at barbecues. We looked at the barbecue industry and said, how can we dominate this industry, be the best, do things differently in this industry? So you start seeing the biggest returns. Next, people will start referring other people to you. If you come into someone and say, I can do anything, people are going to be like, yeah, right. You're not, you can't do nothing. No one can do everything. And they're going to be suspect of it. They're not going to want to help you out, because they're just going to think you're arrogant. They're going to think that, why help this person out that already thinks they can do everything? Whereas if you come in and say, hey, for me, it was like, I'm a barbecue enthusiast. I'm a barbecue expert. I know everything about your barbecue, and I can help you out with this specific problem that you have in your life. So when you tell people that, they'll have someone, they'll start talking to people about it. They'll start telling, this guy, he was passionate about cleaning my barbecue, and he'll clean your barbecue, he'll do a great job. So they'll start telling you about it. Whereas if I went up and said, hey, I love cleaning barbecues, I also can clean cars, I can also clean your gutters, I can also cut your lawn, they wouldn't really have a way to associate me with any of those. So they'd be a little bit reluctant to refer me, because they would be like, you know what, I maybe saw him do one thing, I don't know if he's really good at everything. But if you're the king of your hill, you'll be great at that. Next, you'll have a competitive advantage. If you are committed to that one niche and you commit and you dive right into it, you will find ways to differentiate yourself from people that are also in that niche. And what we found was that with cleaning barbecues, there's different people, saying they would clean your barbecue. There's people who did, furnace cleaning, they do like oven cleaning, do all kinds of things. They'd be like, yeah, I'll clean your barbecue. But we realized that their process was terrible. They were using dangerous tools on the barbecue, damaging people's barbecues. We had people hire us saying, "Oh, you guys won't damage you guys don't use a power drill on my barbecue. And you guys can still clean it. That's amazing. My guy comes, he uses a power drill, he damages the thing every time. I'm always upset." And so you kind of tap into those little areas of opportunity. You become the best at what you do, and you actually sink your teeth into it. You actually have a focus, and you have a calling within your industry. All right, so if we're looking at the process, and this is to give you a bird's eye view. I want you to understand the bird's eye view here. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in your process that you want to think about and have in your mind before you get started with your business. All right. So number 1 is locating your customers, finding where they are. We're going to talk about how you can do that, where the best way to locate them. The tools, the online tools. There's different, there's different softwares that can help you do that, and then just mapping out, the streets, mapping out the community, understanding that. So understanding where to locate your customers can be a big focus. You got to find your customers. You don't waste your time. For me, I wasted a ton of time trying to locate our customers, and it's created a lot of pain for me in the process of getting sales, getting my business off the ground, really moving forward and just tapping into the most efficient opportunities or the best opportunities. So that was something I struggled with. Next, pitch. So we're going to talk about creating your elevator pitch. We're going to talk about executing your pitch, who to pitch to, how to pitch. And the pitch goes beyond just the pitch out loud. It goes with your online presence. It goes with your brand identity. It goes with building your logo, your website, all these things. So communicate. When I say pitch, I mean communicating value of your services. We're going to talk about how you can communicate the value of your service. Next thing is quote. So we're going to talk about pricing strategy. You got to have a good pricing strategy going in. We're going to talk about how that changes pretty quickly. We want to start lean, we want to start flexible, and then we're going to quickly transition that into a more structured approach as we learn. We're going to start up lean. We're a startup. We're going to use the advantages that we have. We're going to talk about the advantages that we have as a startup, especially from a pricing perspective. Next, we're talking about schedule. So optimizing your schedule, scheduling customers in, make sure you have the right information, make sure you have the right systems in place, make sure you're not losing customers in this process of scheduling. And the management side, this comes with customer management, and you want to provide the best experience. The customer has a huge advantage going with you as a startup founder. So we want to make sure that you're not leaving anything under the rug. You're not missing out on opportunities where they present themselves. Next, we're going to talk about execution. So we're going to talk about your service, how that is actually executed, how to quickly go from a non-expert not knowing to actually conquering and mastering your service pretty quickly, probably within the first week or two. And ultimately, we're going to talk about how you can set yourself up for scale. So going from your first customer to your 10th, to your 50th, to your 100th, and there's going to be different strategy, different ways you can go about doing that. So we're going to talk about how you're setting yourself ultimately up for scale pretty quickly. All right, so let's just do the math for a second here. I mentioned this $30,000 number, and I want to just talk to you how we can break this up just simply. This is just very high level. We're going to obviously talk about and analyzing this a little bit more when we're getting started. But let's say you do a car cleaning business, a mobile car cleaning business, and let's say the average charge for that is around $200 on average to your service, which would be probably a typical charge you would do for that kind of service. Say it takes somewhere around 2-3 hours to do, and there's a certain level of expertise, certain level. So maybe at the start it takes you 4, 5, 6 hours. Maybe you get that down to 2-3 hours. So let's say you're doing 3 customers per day, maybe 2 to 3 customers per day, but that's roughly $600 in daily revenue. When we look at 5 days per week, this can quickly add up to $3,000 weekly revenue. And then if we look at the number of weeks, there's typically about 18 or 19 weeks in the summer. And that's not even including the spring if you start early and the fall if you end later. But I narrowed that down to 16 because you're probably going to want 2 weeks vacation, like true vacation from doing your service. So let's say there's 16 working weeks, which is pretty typical when we're working a job. We typically don't work for the entire summer. We want to have some time off, especially if you have your own business. Say it's 16 weeks. That's $48,000 in summer revenue. That's in a perfect world. And we got to factor in sick days. holidays, vacation, weather, different things that come up. So we bring that down to 40,000. So you can pretty quickly see how, you can build a 40,000, and then I'm bringing it down to 30,000 because I'm saying that, let's just say the worst case scenario of different things coming up. Your equipment breaks down, you have troubles getting customers right away, different things like that. You don't have a full schedule every day, things like that. So I bring it down to 30,000, but you can pretty quickly see how a summer, set up properly, not even that ambitious, just working, typical hours, typical days. Obviously you have to put in the extra work now, and you have to put in the extra work at the start, but you can pretty quickly see how we can arrive at that 30,000, more than 30,000 number. And I bring down to 30,000 to be conservative. I think that's a very conservative estimate. To give you some example, we did around 30,000 our first summer, and we made every single mistake you possibly could have made. We missed so many opportunities that summer. And so that was, I would say, a failure from a financial perspective of what we were able to do. And the reason we were able to grow so much was just because of a couple of tweaks, a couple of fixes in our system, and all of a sudden we were set up for scale. And even then we didn't do it perfectly, and we still executed, at 3 times growth, 4 times growth, and then each year it was just exponential growth. So it was phenomenal to see. It was really cool. I want you guys to set up for that right away, and I think that 30,000 number, you guys can crush that out of the park. All right, so let's just talk a quick overview of the Summer Startup Program. I think I've talked for a long time now, enough for an introduction, enough to get you in that mindset. So we're going to quickly run through what you can expect in this program. So start things off with how to pick the right service to launch. Obviously, when I talk about this program, we talk about how you don't need to come in with an idea. We also, we encourage you not to have an idea. We want you to have a fresh mind, but even if you have a couple ideas, that's great. So we talk about picking the right idea. That's something that, I want to be involved in. We bring the network together and make sure we're all on the same page with what kind of ideas we should choose from. We just kind of, we narrow it down. We analyze ourselves, we do an assessment of ourselves, our resources, the market potential. We do all kinds of things there. So we pick the right service. Next, we talk about how we're going to find the market for our service, how to create and execute an effective pitch. So we're going to talk about that pretty early on. We want to get in that sales mindset. We get the quickest way to landing your first customer. Oops, hit the microphone there. So getting the quickest way to landing your first customer, how to set up your machine of getting customers. So how to set up that mechanism, setting up that system, how to use your website, social media, and other digital resources to get customers and build your brand. I think that this is an exciting part. There's some misconceptions there that we want to talk about, how getting your website off the ground, but we're going to build a website from scratch. I actually build a sample website with a hypothetical company that I start. It's called Matt's Car Cleaning, just to give you a little bit of hint there. So yeah, we build that. Then we talk about how to design a systematic execution process to offer the most value for your customers. So we want to have a very value-driven process that's going to differentiate us from our competitors. And then ultimately, we want to set up for scale as soon as possible. We want to avoid doing the unnecessary tedious work as quickly as possible, as quickly as we get off the ground. We don't want to do that right away because we want to set everything up. We want to make sure you get that learning first of all, but then after that, we want to set up for scale. And we want to use that learning, use some of that revenue that you've earned to reinvest that into your business, so you can just hit the gas basically to get going quicker and have a great summer. All right, so continuing on, we also show you how to find ways to innovate your business. We want you to take a different approach, take a fresh approach to the industry that you're in. So maybe it's the service hasn't changed, but maybe there's opportunities to innovate the experience. Maybe there is opportunities to innovate the service, add more value. I can think of a lot of examples of how we can do that. Even just like adding products, adding additional services that link in directly with your service, sort of microservices, building your service packages, things like that. And then we talk about showing how to maximize your profit potential through pricing strategy and value added. So this is really important because it's really easy to not make a big profit when you just see it as a constant opportunity to spend as much, as soon as the money's coming in, you spend it. We don't want to set that up that way. We want you to be making a lot of money. We want that to be a highly profitable first year for you, because that's what it should be. It's going to be almost entirely profit if it's done properly. So we want to make sure that you're maximizing that profit through some strategies. And then we're going to give you all kinds of scripts, templates, trainings. I actually built out an entire Google Drive where it's an example of my business. So an example of Matt's Car Cleaning, which is a hypothetical business, not a real business, but we have the full Google Drive set up with full of templates, scripts, different things like that. So every time you're watching our videos, you're also reviewing the templates and you're also doing the work as you go. Again, this is going to be the only video, probably maybe 1 or 2 other videos, but probably one of the only videos that you're just going to simply sit down and watch. The rest of them, you're going to actually be working alongside. When we talk about how to accept payments, this is something you would never expect as a problem, but it actually is a problem with customers not paying. We want to ensure that you have a bulletproof collections process so you're collecting 100% of the payments that you are entitled to from your customers. We don't want you to have any customer disputes or any problems like that, and we want to quickly get past those when you do have those problems so you can learn from them and make sure you set your business up to not get ripped off, quite frankly, because there is some people out there who try to do that to you. And then we're going to talk about how to get customers organically through referrals. We don't want to spend any money on advertising. We want to make sure that it's organic and it's, obviously starts off from the ground up, but then we want to quickly make sure that you're getting referrals and growing your business that way. And then we want to show you how to talk to them in person through email, over the social media. There's all different ways to communicate with people, and communication's just becoming more layered, I guess, every single year as we introduce more ways to communicate, and we get better at them. We get better at communicating via social media. We get better at emailing. We get better at calling. We get better at face-to-face interactions. We want to optimize that. So we talk about all those different things. All right, so within the first month, the goal is that you'll be up and running. So not the first month of this program necessarily, but the first month of your spring operation, you're going to be up and running. And throughout this program, again, you're not going to just be doing a bunch of stuff behind the scenes. A lot of the work is stuff that's setting up, but we're going to put you front and center. We're going to get you started, within that first month, but actually attracting your first customers within the first day or two of you going out. Then we're going to talk about utilizing the templates. Again, we have a lot of templates that sort of, and I want to mention that all the templates are custom created. They're not based on online templates that you find online. I mean, there's, in school you can get templates, things like that, but these are relevant specifically to, first of all, being practical, and second of all, to your actual summer business. Then we're going to talk about specializing on your niche. Especially within the first month, you're going to have that specialization. We're talking about acquiring that knowledge quickly, feeling comfortable with what you're doing. We're talking about knowing how to sell. Knowing how to sell, first of all, in life in general, you're almost always going to be selling yourself. You're going to be selling what you do, you are always selling. It's not necessarily I'm a sleazy salesman, I'm a sleazy car salesman. It's you're communicating the value that you offer to this world, basically. And that's what we're going to talk about, and understanding the concepts of how to sell. And then referral-based clients, we definitely want that. We want you to expand your network pretty quickly. And we're going to provide an audit and free evaluation. So we're going to do that actually throughout the program, but definitely upon request, we're going to audit, some of your templates, some of your processes, where you're at in general, where your head's at. We're going to do that as just included in the program, because that's just something I want to be involved in your business. I want to be as involved as I possibly can be within your business, and I want to make sure that you're following along the processes, you're setting up for success. All right, so again, I'm going to show you how to build for scale. I'm going to show you how to actually build your business from the ground up. We're going to do things, it's not going to be set up for scale right away in terms of when you're actually, first building your business, getting off the ground, but we're going to do things the right way the first time, if that makes sense. When you do things, there is such thing as doing things the wrong way and learning, but we want to make sure that your learning is more of a guided learning approach in the sense that you're not failing where you don't need to, because certain things that you can avoid, it's way smarter to avoid them. So we want to help you set up to build for scale. You're not going to just be setting up so you're just Jessica's grass cutting business. It's going to be a full-on operation that's an actual asset. Again, we want you to build an asset. Next, we want to help you narrow your focus on what matters. There's so many things you can do as an entrepreneur. You have so many options. We want to help you focus specifically on what matters the most to your business. All right. And we're going to talk about creating contracts, invoices, legal forms, all those sorts of things. We have templates for that. We have some resources for that. And I'm going to show you how to position yourself to be an expert at what you do. Again, this is something I emphasize so much because it's a big mistake I made, and it's a big mistake I see a ton of people making, is not focusing on being an expert at what they do. It's super important to do that. And we want to talk about how all the marketing channels how to take advantage of all the marketing channels. So again, this doesn't mean paid ads. This means just maximizing the potential of your brand for visibility everywhere, and what to focus on the most, which is really just direct engagement with people. All right. And then the biggest thing, an additional thing is you'll be working alongside motivated peers doing the exact same thing. So this network and this is personal to me, because I found that doing things alone, doing anything alone, is extremely challenging when you don't have that support network alongside you. And so this this program is designed that we bring our students together, we lift each other up. One person's success is everyone's success, and vice versa. One person's struggles and challenges, we want to lift them up. We want to give them the ideas, the support where they need it. Everyone's a little bit different, and everyone has different areas of expertise, different areas they excel at. Certain parts of this program you'll find maybe you're crushing it with, and then other parts you're not doing so well with. We want to lift each other up. We want to, when we have a rising tide, where we have that mentality that we all do well together, that's a really big thing. And that doesn't mean we're not competing with each other. We want to compete with each other. We want to see who can do the best. We want to see who can, excel fast and quickly. But we want to also be giving back. We want to have this, this community that we're building, and that's really what the program is designed to be. And I'm going to remind you of that throughout the program. I think that's really important. All right, so the bottom line now, and as I come to an end here, bottom line is entrepreneurship is not optional anymore. You guys are doing the right thing here, but it's essential that you commit and come through on your business here. And again, I didn't want to, I specifically set this up so we're not recruiting just anyone. We're recruiting the best and brightest, the future CEOs in this program. And entrepreneurship is not something that we can take for granted or take lightly, because it's becoming the norm. Even within companies, you're expected to be an entrepreneurial thinker. If you're going to be self-employed, you're going to have to have that base level experience, have that entry level experience. Entrepreneurship is truly not optional anymore. It was maybe optional 20, 30 years ago. It was maybe a career path 23 years ago. Now it's a mindset. Now it's something that everyone is actively, we're all competitive. We all want to get there, especially the best and the most motivated students like all of you are. So the bottom line right now is entrepreneurship is not optional. You have to be committed now. You've taken the plunge. You've gotten into this program, and now it's about taking action, getting started. All right, so going to end things off here. Sometimes the smallest decisions sometimes it's the smallest decisions that can change your life forever. Truly, honestly, keep that in mind. You guys have made a decision to jump into this program, to sign up for this program, and basically jump into, and I have a lot of respect for you guys making that decision to jump into a new journey, a new chapter in your life. And sometimes it really is the smallest decision. Maybe this was something you thought about for a while. Maybe you followed my journey for a while. Maybe you're new to me. Maybe we haven't met personally yet. But one way or another, you've made a decision, whether it was a small decision, big decision, any type of decision, but you've made a decision, and this is genuinely a time to think about it. This is your time. This is your time. There's never going to be another time in your life where you're having this feeling of this transition of taking control of your life. So really, truly, sometimes it is the smallest decisions that change your life forever. All right, so it's your time. Let's do this. I'm excited to have you on board. I appreciate you being with us, and I'm super excited. Let's move on. Let's get started with things. And I hope you're as excited for this as I am. So thanks for your vote of confidence in joining this program, being a part of this with us. I'm super excited to work with you. So let's do this. All right.